All right, so here we go. I'm just going to go through these, how I would answer them quickly if I'm just reading them here. So again, galaxies seem to be moving away from each other. So what is wrong with rewinding the clock, so to speak, to when they were all in the same spot to obtain the age of the universe? So the main thing you're going to want to focus on with this question is just that you're making massive, massive assumptions. Nobody was there to see what was going on before the amount of time that we've been observing our galaxy and our universe. You know, we've been observing our universe accurately for roughly the last 30 years since the Hubble telescope has been doing that. And so to say that you can take 30 years of good data and extrapolate back to the beginning of the universe, supposedly 14 billion years ago, it's just, you can't do that. It's like watching less than a second of a basketball game, and less than a second from maybe the middle of the third quarter, and try and determine exactly what the score at the end of the game is going to be. It's just, it doesn't work like that. You're making too many assumptions. And to think you can is really arrogant. Number two, Einstein said that the laws of thermodynamics are the only physical theories of universal content which I am convinced will never be overthrown. The laws of thermodynamics point to an organized creator of the universe or a random Big Bang explosion. So of course when we talked about the laws of thermodynamics, we focused on the second law of thermodynamics, and the whole idea behind that law is that things do not ever go from a state of disorder to a state of order all by themselves. You know, if you have an explosion, it's going to create a random debris field. It's not going to create something that's organized. So when we take a look at the second law of thermodynamics, it points to the fact that you need a creator, you need a designer to make things in an organized, designed way that we see them in the universe. It's not just our world that looks organized, it's our solar system, it's our sun, it's our galaxy, and the entire cosmos. Other galaxies look just as organized and just as beautiful as our own. Number three, if the universe is billions of years old, then the sun, stars, planets, and moons ought to look that old. Do they? Give at least 3 examples to support your opinion. So again, for this one, I don't remember which ones I told you in class, but we talk a lot about this in astronomy. So just the ones that pop into my head, you know, planet Earth. We've got a magnetic field that is decreasing over time. It's been measured that over the last 180 years, it's decreased by a strength of about 10%. So there's no way with that weakening magnetic field it could have been around for the 4.5 billion years that Earth has supposedly been around for. When we're talking about places like Jupiter, you know, Jupiter is made up of gases that could not stably form by themselves at Jupiter's place in its orbit around the sun. And yet there they are inside Jupiter. Jupiter's got a moon called Io, just like Saturn has a moon Enceladus and Neptune has a moon Triton. These places are volcanically erupting all sorts of things, from sulfur lava to water and other volatile materials. There's no way these tiny worlds could still be expelling all these gases and lava and water if they've been doing that for billions of years. They would have long since run dry. In addition to that, and we talked about comets, and they can't be old because they lose a lot of their material every time that they pass by the sun. And of course, Pluto. Pluto is an active, dynamic world with ice flowing. It snows there. It's got mountains that are being created, and it's got volcanoes that are erupting. This is not what we would expect if the universe and the solar system was billions of years old. Number 4, the Big Bang Theory includes things like dark matter and inflation. Tell me about where these concepts came from and why the idea of the Big Bang doesn't work without them. So dark matter, when we look at galaxies, they are still together. There's not enough gravity in those galaxies for them to still look the way they do over the last 14 billion years. They should have long since flown apart by now. At least the stars on the outside should have, because they're moving too fast to be actually held on by what we see, the gravity produced by what we see. So you need extra gravity and therefore extra mass to produce that gravity to hold on to those stars for that long. And that's where the idea of dark matter has come from. That supposedly provides the gravity to hang on to those stars for long enough that we see them in the positions that we see them today. And in terms of inflation, you know, that's the whole thing where we look out in the whole universe, everything looks like it's the exact same temperature, you know, within like 200 millionths of a degree when you look at how temperatures are distributed over the universe. And there's no way over 14 billion years that they should be that evenly spread out. I think the analogy we used in class was if you're in a swimming pool and we dump ice in it. You know, if the pool starts the exact nice perfect temperature for you, just by dropping ice in at the other end isn't going to automatically equalize that entire pool, bless you, to that temperature. It's going to take a while for that ice to change the temperature of the pool. Same thing when we look at the universe. 14 billion years is not enough time for all of these temperatures to be so uniform. So they have to invent inflation, which magically spread everything out, including the temperatures, over that small period of time at the start of the Big Bang. And finally, number 5, we see light from stars that are millions of light years away. Since that light needs millions of years to get here, doesn't that mean the universe is at least millions of years old? Why or why not? And of course, the answer to that is when we're dealing with this issue of time, we look at the Bible, and it says on day 3 that God brought forth the plants, the vegetation on day 3. And so if he brought forth the plants, the vegetation on day 3, so that if you were there, it would look kind of like a time-lapse video of them just jumping out of the ground and moving in fast forward, he probably did the exact same thing on day 4 for the starlight. In the same way that he didn't want Adam to wait 10 years for an apple tree to grow, he didn't want us to wait, you know, millions of years for the light from those stars to get here so that we could enjoy them and use them for the purposes that he ordained. So, there you go.